Good morning, everyone. It is once again time to go over our devotionals, walking through crucial conversations. We are now on the chapter called Master My Stories. We've been talking about crucial conversations. We've talked about what they are conversations when we have different opinions from each other, when our emotions are high, and we can't get along right off the bat. We've talked about what it looks like when we make bad choices, when we choose to either be aggressive or be silent in the matter. And we've talked about what it means to create safety, to create an atmosphere where people feel like they can share and you are listening, and to turn that into a mutual purpose and a mutual respect as you move forward in the conversation. That was a very quick summation, but if you want to know anything more in depth about any of those topics, go look at the videos from the past couple of weeks. And this week, we are talking about mastering our stories. And the chapter starts out with this quote at the very top of the first page of the chapter, and it says, "It's not how you play the game; it's how the game plays you." And it's interesting because we were talking about this game of conversations. And it really is a game that when you start to think about it and you realize that you're guiding yourself through this, it is a game, not one that you always want to play, but one that you're forced to play with every single moment. And it is a game that is driven by our emotions. And there are emotions of fear and anger and confusion. Generally, in these conversations, they're not good ones. Like in normal, regular conversations, they could be all sorts of good or bad or whatever. But in these crucial conversations, it's usually because your negative emotion is meeting somebody else's negative emotion, and something has to give. Um, and when they looked into more of understanding these crucial conversations and these moments with our emotions, they found two things. First, they found that others don't feel things for you. They can't. They're not you. Okay? That person can make you angry. They can make you sad. But you know who's really making you do it? It's you. It's weird that we even have that concept of like someone can make me do have this kind of emotion when that never happens. The way it works is they say something, we internalize it and turn it into that emotion. We were that step that brought it to that emotion. We never go straight from the facts to emotion. There are steps in between that we create that lead us there. And the other thing that they found is that when it came to crucial conversations, if a person was not able to master their emotion held them captive to the situation they were in, and they could not move forward. And this is interesting because as we look into these emotions and the way that everything works out in a conversation, we think of it as a three-step kind of deal. In a crucial conversation, you think of it going from the facts, what is actually happening around us, what we're seeing, what we're hearing, to what we feel, to how we are now acting out that feeling. From seeing someone or hearing someone say something negative about me to feeling aggressive, to feeling angry because they said something bad about me, to acting in a way that is either avoiding or attacking against that person that has called me something. But there's an extra step there that we oftentimes miss. And it's a step I see all the time, and it's probably because I love to do these, even when there isn't crucial conversations. I'm always telling myself these, and that is stories. We tell ourselves stories. We don't go straight from what we see and what we hear to how we feel. There's a step in between where and it can happen lightning quick. Like our brains are so, like, it is ingenious that this happens like this, but you can have a story in the snap of a fingers that you have told yourself just based on what you heard and saw for 2 seconds and prior knowledge. And those stories are based at least a little bit on fact, but just like every lie, like a little bit of fact can go a long way with a lot of fiction. And it really, really is tough when we're looking at the conversations we're trying to have. And we've set up this safety, but now they've said something that has made me tell myself a story of why they're doing this thing, and now I can't let it go. And to take control of our emotions. Because we can't stop it at the emotional level, okay? So we see and hear something that's going to happen. We can't stop that. We're going to see and hear things. If we're avoiding that, that is making it so that this whole time of crucial conversation never happens. So for a crucial conversation to happen, we see and hear something. We have to. So we can't stop it there. We can't stop our actions and our feelings there. We can't stop it once we feel something because we've already felt it. And that feeling is leading us to the action. We can catch it there. But at that point, it's only turning that action away. And if we catch that feeling there and change it, it's not because we're changing it with the action. It's because we're saying, oh, wait, let's jump back 2 steps and look at the story we just told ourselves. What am I telling myself that is putting me into this way of acting? And I'm going to share a little story. The last couple weeks I've shared just hypothetical situations, but this week I'm going to share another story from my life and how I've used crucial conversations to really affect the people that I've been around. And it was with the first youth group I was with, and I was brand new, and it was a very, very small youth group. It was 3 brothers and a couple of friends. That was it. It was 5 kids. That's all it was. And those 3 brothers, they had never had anyone other than their father be their youth pastor. Now, the junior higher, he was good right off the bat, and I'm a junior high guy, like, we clicked immediately. The kid who was a junior, it took a little while, and he was a very closed person, but eventually we made a really, really good connection. He's the one I keep in touch with the best today. Out of that entire youth group, he is the one I keep in touch the best with. But the oldest one, the senior, we had some issues. And it was interesting, because right off the bat, I knew I was going to have some back and forth with them, because they weren't used to anyone other than their dad doing youth. They'd always been with their dad when he was doing it. And I went from that to looking at this kid after a while, and I'm like, what is going on? See, when we would go into groups like youth group or special events, or I just got a bunch of the youth students to hang out and get to know each other better, or we would have worship nights, he would have sarcasm and snide comments and looks that told me that something was going on, that he wasn't enjoying something, that there was something about those times when we were all together that was really messing with him. But the moment those things would be done, he would be the one that would stay after. He would be the one that would stay and help clean. He would be the one that would be pressing me for further information on whatever I had been talking about. He would be the one that wanted to go deeper and deeper and deeper into everything we've been doing. Even though just half an hour earlier in the service, he looked like he couldn't have cared less. And it confused me. And it got to the point where we both were telling ourselves stories. And the story I told myself was, he is okay with me as a peer, but he cannot have me as that youth pastor. That youth pastor is a special role for his dad. And I can't change this. I'm going to have this kid for 1 year. It's my first year doing this. I've got a lot of things I've got to look at. I'm going to have to be okay with the fact that he doesn't want me here. He wants his dad doing this. Even though he's okay with me just as a person, he wants his dad doing this. And it made me feel bad. It made me feel like I wasn't as wanted in that youth group, especially by this kid that I was looking up to, because he was going to the same school I had just come out of. He had a lot of wisdom. He had a lot of past knowledge that I was looking to help him grow to become more and more of that leader. I was always looking for chances to have him grow in whatever capacity I could, whether that was in speaking, whether that was in any aspect of ministry I could think of. So I wanted this kid to get ready, and that's how I view a lot of youth kids and a lot of even kids regular elementary kids is I want them to grow, and to do that, I have to put them in some sort of responsibility. And especially when you find those couple, it's very interesting. And the problem is that my story didn't line up with the facts. That's not at all what was going on. And on his side, he was not getting what he wanted out of the youth group. See, he wanted to grow in knowledge. He still wanted to be fed. He was still coming and looking for those morsels. He wanted the word of God every single week. He wanted to dive deep in, and didn't really want to dive into the responsibility, to the understanding of how to do ministry, even though he was going to do that later on. And it led to this confrontation between us where we would be good and then bad and then good and then bad. And then it got to the point where, like, I enjoyed being with the kid when we were just the one-on-one, the two of us, or if it was a couple of us. But when it came to groups, it was rough because he was disruptive at points. Not really meaning to, but his feelings overflowed what he wanted to do. And there are a few ways that we could take control of our stories. And we kind of have to just step back as we're doing this. First, we have to notice our behavior. We have to notice what we're doing that is starting this crucial conversation moment. Like, why, what am I doing that is causing me to feel this way? Then you have to investigate your feelings. Okay, so this is causing me, like, I'm doing this because I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling this way? What is causing me to feel this way? What am I telling myself that is causing me to feel this way? And then you go back and you analyze those stories. You look at the stories that you're telling yourself. Okay, so I'm telling myself this. This is what's making me feel this way. And then once you've looked at those stories, which may or may not be true, because you don't necessarily have you don't have all the information. Only God does. So from whatever information you have, you may or may not be right. And finally, the last step, okay, out of what I am saying is going on, what do I know for certain to be true? And it took a bit for me to go that deep with this kid, to be able to take a step back and say, okay, enough of me being confused and annoyed, enough of him with his obvious problem with something that's going on. I need to get to the bottom of this. And that's where I looked at what I was telling myself and I said, okay, this is what I'm telling myself. This is the facts that I know. I want to know what he's thinking, which led to our conversation together. And I'm going to go more in depth over that in the next devotional that we have. We're going to spend 2 weeks in telling ourselves stories. Next week, we're going to talk about the very specific stories that we tell ourselves that really set us up for failure. But I just wanted to go over the basics and kind of set up the story and the scenario that we are going to continue with next week. So if you'd like to hear about how me and the youth student I had, how that worked out, go ahead and watch the next video. It might be next week, but it should be up there. It should be. You guys are awesome, and I'm really excited to be continuing to go through Crucial Conversations with you guys. It has meant a lot to me, going through this and understanding how to communicate. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you on Wednesday.